Willie, the Triumph Hurl, great juvenile hurler course. You won it last year with Burning Victory, and you've got a couple of really interesting contenders. And French Seal is very interesting, first run for the stable.
That's right. We're very happy with French Seal since he came here. We bought him off Elmarie Holden, and Elmarie is a gallop. Well, even though it's up a hill, but it's a wood chip gallop like ours, and it's and she, on the same feed and everything. So the horse only came 20 miles up the road. I elected not to run him, just to go straight to Cheltenham. I'm very happy with his work, doing everything right. So I'm looking forward to him for the Triumph Hurdle.
Excellent. And Saint Sam, of course, he's been a little bit keen in his race. You've got multiple entries for him, but he's an interesting...
Yeah, I'd been aiming Saint Sam for the Triumph Hurdle all season. I see he's favourite, I think, now for the Fred Winter. So we'll have a chat with Connections, and I'll have to have a chat with myself as well when we see the weights. He's a contender in the Triumph Hurdle. It's going to be a tough Triumph Hurdle this year. I'm hoping French Seal or Saint Sam might interfere with that.
Willie, we're here at Boum Photo, a dual Gold Cup winner, your first win in the race also.
Yes, I thought I'd given up hope of winning a Gold Cup up to 2 years ago, and this fella comes along and wins it twice, going for a third one. He's in great form, worked very well yesterday. I brought him away for what I would call a major bit of work, and we were very pleased with him. So we were.
And Willie, he's not a forgotten horse, but we don't see him too often, and that trip from Tramore to Cheltenham, that came about rather by accident. He missed the Dublin Racing Festival due to the ground.
Yes, I felt the ground was too lively in Leopardstown, and we were going to get nice soft ground in Tramore, so I took that route. It worked. I've stuck to it, and which means he's just not in the public eye as much as maybe a Gold Cup winner would be normally. Bit unfashionable maybe to go that route, but I always like to do things that work once and we stick with it again. So it worked again last year, and I didn't see any reason to change it this year. I know it probably doesn't give him the sort of profile of previous winners, and he probably just lacks that little bit of public profile, but we'll worry about that, going to Cheltenham, and he's in good shape. That's all I can say at this point.
Excellent. And just looking back in last year's race, he beat Santini by a neck. He showed a battling qualities that maybe we didn't have to see today, but he really, showed good determination.
I mean, he stays, he jumps and stays, and the race wasn't run to suit him last year, and Paul was in front 5 out, and that's a long way to be in front in Cheltenham, so it is. But the fact that he stayed on, and he, to me, he's as in a good a form, if not better, I think, at this point, going to Cheltenham. So yes.
And that win on New Year's Day in the Savills Chase at Tramore, there was a couple of people trying to fault at the time, but the pace went on bad ground on that occasion. A 2-miler made the running. It was a proper test.
I mean, a 2-miler made the running and couldn't even finish. That'll tell you the pace that they went. This fellow hadn't run since March, which meant, that he'd missed going to Punchestown. He'd missed probably a trip to France. And I hadn't sort of factored that in, and I think I had left him a little undercooked. So I've made up for that in the meantime. And, I hadn't thought, looking at him going down the hill in Tramore, you're thinking, is he going to catch a Capello in front? But, his class just came into being then, and he kicked into, and Paul said he was just idling once he was on his own because there was no other horse around him. But then he caught sight of Acapello coming back to him, and he just changed gear and did what he was supposed to do. And it's very hard to look impressive in very testing conditions, but anyway, he did what he had to do, and that's the mark of a good horse, and I think he's in good form.
He looks it. And Willie, 2021, the Gold Cup, 35 years on from Don Run, of course, winning for your dad, Paddy Mullins, at the Gold Cup, a famous day in Irish racing. What's your memories of that occasion?
A bit like the 60s, if you remember, you weren't there. No, we really celebrated. We had a great time. It was fantastic. Just to have a horse to win the Gold Cup, but to have a horse to win the Champion Hurdle and the Gold Cup, never been done before. And, you know, every yard wants to win a Gold Cup. And it was no different in Dunninga, you know, so we really enjoyed it.
Fantastic days. Fingers crossed Al Boum can make it 3 in a row and join the likes of Best Mate and Arkle, and the only 2 to have done it prior to this.
Yes, you know, it's fantastic to be in the position we're in. Delighted to have won 2. Be fantastic if we can win another one, but really looking forward to this year's race with them. In the Mayor's Chase, we have Ellie May. She's, you know, won over 2 miles the last day. Very impressive performance in Naas. She'll go back to 2.5, which I think it might be a better trip for her. She seems, even though she's not the biggest mare in the place, she's great scope for jumping. Mark, you know, seems to have great confidence in her jumping, and with a clear round, she's going to go very close. We also have Culreevy there, who won a 2.5 mile chase at Christmas, and I haven't discussed it yet with connections, but she's well entitled to go there. She's only a novice, that's the problem, taking on seasoned mares in Cheltenham. But you know, when you have a mare in form, sometimes that's the time to go. She will give a good account of herself if she gets to Cheltenham.
And Willie, Ellie May, of course, a very interesting pedigree that's come to light. Goshen is...
That's right, she's a half-brother to Goshen, and 2 nice siblings out of one mare.
Indeed, and Willie, that run behind Allaho and Thurles, that was top drawer, and it was obviously great to win in Naas, but that was a real good bit of form.
Yes, her second to Allaho in Thurles was very good. She showed how well she jumped and could get near what we think is a real good horse. And then she backed it up by a real good round of jumping in Naas over a much shorter trip. So we're very pleased with that, to be heading to Cheltenham with that sort of form under her belt. Billaway goes for the Hunter Chase that he finished second in last year. He was just really inexperienced last year, and I thought I need to get runs into him this year. So he won nicely up in Down Royal, and he was better again in Naas. However, he's a little bit behind the bridle, so I think Patrick has really got used to him now, and the horse has got a lot more experience, and I think his experience this year will be the big difference. So I'm hoping Billaway can go 1 better this year and win the Hunter Chase for John Turner.